I used to think the phrase small town meant quiet streets, closed doors, and people minding their own business. That's what it meant back home in the US. Small town meant polite waves, short conversations, and a strong unspoken rule. Don't get too personal. Then I moved to a small town in the Philippines, and within 3 days, I realized something shocking. Everyone knew everyone. Not in a Facebook friends kind of way. Not in a I've seen you around way. I mean, they knew my name, where I was staying, what time I woke up, what I ate for breakfast, and why I was walking down the street alone instead of with someone from the barangay. And somehow, it wasn't creepy. It was comforting. On my first morning, I stepped outside the house I was renting, still half asleep, hair tied in a messy bun, wearing slippers and a loose shirt. I'd barely taken 5 steps when a woman across the street smiled and said, "Good morning, ma'am. You sleep well?" I froze. How did she know I slept there? How did she know I was new? How did she know I slept at all? I smiled back awkwardly and said yes, and she nodded as if she'd been waiting for confirmation. 10 steps later, another voice called out, "You're the American, right?" This time it was a man fixing a motorcycle. He didn't look up. He just said it casually, like he was asking about the weather. By lunchtime, I had been introduced formally or informally to at least 12 people. Someone's aunt, someone's cousin, someone's childhood friend who used to live here before but now lives there but still comes back every week. Names blurred together, but faces didn't. Everyone smiled. Everyone asked questions. Everyone already knew something about me. That was my first clue. In Filipino small towns, information travels faster than Wi-Fi. I learned quickly that the town itself is like one giant living room. No walls, no secrets. If you walk past someone's house, you are acknowledged. If you buy bread at the bakery, the baker remembers you. If you miss a day of your usual routine, someone will ask if you're sick. One afternoon, I decided to change things up. Instead of my usual morning walk, I slept in. At around 10, my phone buzzed. A neighbor I barely knew had messaged me to ask if I was okay, because she hadn't seen me outside yet. Back home, that would have felt invasive. Here, it felt sweet. I started to understand why Filipinos know everyone in small towns. It's not because they're nosy. It's because life is shared. In the Philippines, especially in smaller places, people don't live behind closed doors. Houses are open. Windows are open. Conversations spill into the street. Kids play outside until sunset. Adults sit on plastic chairs in front of their homes, talking about nothing and everything at the same time. When your life happens in public, people notice. I remember going to a sari-sari store one evening to buy bottled water. The woman behind the counter didn't ask what I wanted. She just reached down and handed me the exact brand I usually bought. Then she asked, "Your friend didn't come today?" I blanked. "What friend?" "The tall one. The one who laughs loud." She meant a guy I had met twice. And yet she noticed his absence. In a Filipino small town, patterns matter. People notice rhythms. Who walks with whom? Who eats where? Who comes home late? Who hasn't been seen in a while? This isn't surveillance. It's awareness. When everyone is connected, everyone becomes responsible for everyone else. I learned this the day a tricycle driver refused to take me down a dark road at night. I told him I was fine. I was an adult. I had walked worse streets in American cities without fear. He shook his head and said, "No, ma'am. People will worry. Not I will worry. People will worry." That sentence stuck with me. The town worried as a collective. If something happened to me, it wouldn't just be my problem. It would be everyone's. There's a word Filipinos use a lot, Bayanihan. It loosely translates to communal unity or helping one another. In small towns, Bayanihan isn't a concept. It's a daily habit. It's why everyone knows everyone. You can't help someone you don't see. You can't care for someone you don't notice. In America, independence is prized. Privacy is sacred. In Filipino small towns, connection is the currency. One day, I mentioned casually that I missed my favorite food from home. I didn't ask anyone to cook it. I didn't hint. I just mentioned it while chatting outside. 2 days later, a woman knocked on my door holding a plate of something suspiciously familiar. She smiled proudly and said she tried to make it the American way, even though she had never tasted it before. How did she know? Because someone told someone who told someone else. And no one thought, that's not my business. They thought, how can we help? There were moments when it overwhelmed me. Like when I went to the local market wearing a dress I hadn't worn before, and by evening 3 people had commented on it. Or when I tried to buy snacks quietly and the cashier joked loudly about my sweet tooth. Or when I realized that if I was in a bad mood, the entire street somehow knew. You cannot disappear in a Filipino small town. But after a while, I stopped wanting to. There's something deeply grounding about being seen not for what you post online, but for how you live your everyday life. People knew when I was tired. They knew when I was happy. They knew when I needed space, and surprisingly, they respected it. Knowing everyone doesn't mean crossing boundaries. It means understanding them. I noticed that while Filipinos know personal details, they rarely judge harshly. Information isn't ammunition, it's context. If someone is struggling, the town adjusts. If someone is sick, food appears. If someone disappears for a few days, people check in. Back home, if someone disappears, we assume they're busy. Here, disappearance is noticed. I once asked a local friend why people were so attentive. She laughed and said, because tomorrow, it could be you who needs help. That's the unspoken agreement. You show up today because someone else might need you tomorrow. The longer I stayed, the more I realized that this interconnectedness also explains why small towns feel safe. Not because nothing bad ever happens, but because nothing happens unseen. Everyone is someone's cousin, classmate, godparent, or neighbor. Accountability is built into relationships. If you act badly, you don't just answer to the law. You answer to the community. That kind of social fabric doesn't exist where people don't know each other. I thought about how in the US, I lived next to people for years without knowing their names. We shared walls, but not lives. Here, people shared lives even without walls. One night, there was a power outage. Instead of retreating indoors, people came outside. Candles appeared. Someone brought a guitar. Kids played tag in the dark. Someone handed me a flashlight and laughed at how excited I looked. In that moment, I wasn't the American visitor. I was just another person in the circle. And that's the real reason Filipinos know everyone in small towns. Because everyone belongs. Belonging isn't abstract here. It's practical, it's daily. It's knowing that if you fall, someone will catch you, probably before you even hit the ground. When I eventually left that town, I tried to do it quietly. I didn't want a big goodbye. I thought I could slip out early in the morning. I was wrong. By sunrise, people were outside. Someone brought coffee, someone hugged me. Someone teased me for leaving without telling them. Someone promised I'd always have a place there. As I walked away, I realized something that still makes me smile. In Filipino small towns, knowing everyone isn't about control. It's about care. It's about choosing community over isolation, connection over convenience, and people over privacy. And once you experience that, it's hard to go back to a life where no one notices when you don't show up.